Look, Sir David has woken up this morning, and this is what I saw in the mirror. Amazing. I think the atheist God, or Jesus, is blessing me. I saw a light directly over my head, and I couldn't speak. And when I was about to give myself up to destruction, I saw the light and the voice, and two personages appeared to me. Laurel and Hardy told me to create a church that would just fool the hell out of a lot of people. It was for money, so I said, hey, you know, look at me. I have a little heavenly. Oh, look, if I lean this way, it's, oh my gosh, oh, look. Oh. I wish I had special effects. It's the skylight with the fan turning, just coming through the door. So anyway, I hate to disappoint so many of you. Let me shut the door. Oh my gosh! How's that doing it? There's no window there. There's no damn window there. There's no window. Oh. I'm entertaining myself. Look at this shit. Maybe I'm being yeah, I do feel like I'm going up a little. It's the rapture. Here I come. Or maybe it's the unrapture. I don't know where the hell that's coming from. Well, I have a window in front of me. Okay. This is more fun than recording. I'm getting young again. Oh. All right. The thing that I wanted to speak on, and I'm just being, you know, a dad on this one. I want to give you a story. When I was in Manila, in the Philippines, I was bringing my children back to the United States alone. My wife wasn't coming with us this time, and I had to stay in a hotel, which was one room, small, for 2 weeks with the kids. And we got to know each other real well. They didn't speak much English, but as a father, I could speak a lot of Filipino. Get in there! Stop it! Let me tell you, my kids, which are just, they went off to school this morning, and I saw my little one going across the river and the pond there with her little backpack on her and her little t-shirt, brand new thing for school, and her lunch, she loves to make her own lunch. I don't know why. In the cafeteria, we thought that was cool when I was a kid, but these days the kids are different. We were in Manila, and I had to go down and get their physicals over at St. Luke's Hospital, which is the only one the United States accepts to come for immigration. And we were over there all day at St. Luke's, and shots and checking this and checking that and whatever. Well, a long story short, because I have some emotional, I am an atheist, and I'm certainly left-brained in a lot of ways, and empty-brained in a lot of ways too. But I was in the room with the kids, and Grandpa, which is the greatest grandfather in the world, he's just an exceptional man. He used to push his food across the table so that my little ones could eat when he was taking care of them. And before I came into the picture. And I just admire the guy. I just think he's one of the greatest human beings I have ever met. He took my kids to school every day, to a private school, in the mud and the blood and the beer and the rain, and you know, he just was a wonderful person. And I admire him. You can tell by the way I'm talking about him. I indeed admired the man. Well, one day I was unpacking when we first got there, and I put my medications out, and 700 bottles of medication are certainly not going to be a temptation. I think Allison was 8, maybe she was 7 back then. So I didn't think anything of it because I hadn't been around kids for, you know, little kids for 20, 25 years. I didn't realize, now I know Allison. I told you, she's the one that's a career criminal, but she always gets caught. She never gets away with anything. So anyway, the grandfather said, well, can I come up to Manila and help you. He was on a southern island, and I said, sure, I'd love to help. So he came up, and he spoke the language, and he knew Manila because he'd worked up there. And I was glad to have a Filipino with me to speak the language. Manila is not a place that you want to be as an American and not knowing the culture. So he came up, and he was wonderful, and the kids were playing with him and whatever. Well, one day, after he was up there, I was down in the restaurant with the kids, and suddenly Allison, the little one, just projectile vomited halfway across the restaurant. Now, because I was American, they didn't think much of that, and they just cleaned it up. Well, she couldn't stop vomiting. And, you know, I've been a father a long time, and projectile vomiting I've had twice. Once my autistic son projectile vomited, and now this little 7 or 8-year-old girl. And so I grabbed her, of course, and ran upstairs with her and put her in the bathroom and tried to get the vomit to go in the toilet. And on a baby like that that's never seen a toilet, she was scared to death to put her face in the toilet. So I had to put my face in the toilet. See, Dad can do it. You can do it too. So anyway, she just couldn't stop. Couldn't stop. Now, I'm in a foreign country, and their hospitals aren't even as good as a paramedic station here in the United States. But what could I do? What could I do? So I grabbed her, and I grabbed a cab, and the grandfather came with us, and my older daughter came, and I ran into a Filipino hospital screaming, you know, help, and their emergency room had like 900 people who were staff and no patients. There's no money in the Philippines. No one can afford to go to a hospital. So anyway, I just barged in because I'm bipolar, and screw the world. This is my child. And so I put her down on the gurney in there, and I said, where's the damn doctor? And she could speak a little English. And so she came into the room, and I said, hey, you know, we got something here. I don't know what the hell it is. I don't know if it's a poisoning. I don't know if it's a disease. She's been bitten by a spider or snake or some other godforsaken thing here in the Philippines. And the lady looked at her and said, she's sick. I go, God, I know she's sick. That's why I brought her in here. Can you do anything? Well, she needs to stay for 3 or 4 days. I said, you don't even have a diagnosis yet. Well, I think she, you know, I said, can you do a CBC? At least let me look at a CBC and a urine test. She says, well, we can't get any urine out of her. I said, God, I can. So I took her in the bathroom, and I said, Allison, pee in this cup. She pees in the cup. I bring it out and I say, run that. Run that. She goes, well, we won't know for a couple of days. Jeez. My kid is dying in front of me, and this third world country can't do shit. I was scared. I was very scared because I didn't have family, and I didn't have Mitt Romney's Swiss bank account that I could draw on. I had shit. I had spent every damn dime to adopt the kids and transport myself over there and go through the court system, the whole thing. So anyway, I could see there wasn't going to be any help. And of course, I wasn't a Mormon anymore, so I wasn't looking for Jesus. He never showed up anyway, so it's up to David. So I said to the doctor, I'm going to take her out of here. I said, I don't think you're competent, and I'm afraid you'll hurt her more than her sickness, whatever it is. And so that was against medical advice. I think it was medical, but and I think it was advice. But they wouldn't let us go until I paid the full bill. There's the Philippines. You pay in cash before you leave. And every day you can't afford to pay, they charge you the hospital bill. So I had to run back to the motel, get the money out of my sock, run back, I don't remember what it was, 5,000 or 6,000 pesos, something like that. And so I took Allison back to the room. And I decided to get her some Pedialyte. Well, in the Philippines, you're not going to find a lot of things that we think are common knowledge here in the United States. So I finally left her with Grandpa, and Grandpa and I had a big argument in the emergency room in front of the doctors and the staff. He kept saying, she needs food, she needs food. And I kept saying, no, she's vomited something up, and we don't want putting anything back in her until whatever's poisoned her comes all the way out. Well, he and I were arguing, the doctor was looking back and forth, and finally he started jumping up and down, and I've never seen him emotional before. He says, "That's my granddaughter." And I started jumping up and down. Of course, it shook the whole damn hospital. In fact, half the wing fell off because of the construction. And I said, "This is my daughter. Back off." So we maintained the friendship at that point, and then we went back to the hotel, and I ran down to the store, if you want to call it that, and found some Pedialyte. So I brought it back, and here's the baby sitting there with Grandpa, and Grandpa had bought her a bunch of, I don't know what it was, donuts and cookies and bullshit, fast food. And so I told him, I said, you know, don't feed this baby. Let this Pedialyte go through her a little bit, and if she's feeling better, doesn't have a temperature, then we can give her a little soup and, you know, get her metabolism back up. Well, he argued with me, and I argued with him. And see, in the Philippines, he's a good man, because anything that goes wrong with anybody in the Philippines is cured by food. And that's generally the medicine, because they're all dying of starvation, and dysentery, and malaria, and diphtheria. God, it goes on, black plague, I don't know, it's everything. So he was generally right, but I had superior knowledge not to put any food in that baby. Well, he and I then got into an argument. It's the only argument we've ever had. And I finally went downstairs and told the desk, as a last ditch attempt to stop the food going in there, to have them send the police up and take him out. Well, they did, because I was an American and they wanted my money for the hotel, and out the door he goes. Well, when I went to the desk the next couple of times, there was messages there, and things that he was trying to get back in, and make sure everything was all right. And of course, I'm bipolar, and that didn't change in the Philippines, and I was scared to death for my baby. She was starting to respond better and starting to be more like herself, and I didn't want any more conflicting amateur medical procedures on that baby. So one of the saddest moments of my life is we were sitting in the restaurant, and the baby was finally eating again, and my older daughter was there. And we look over to the window that looks out on the street, and here's their grandfather scratching on the window, begging. You know, it broke my heart. It broke my heart, because I love the man more than I love my own father, and yet I love my child. And I didn't know what to do. And when I err, I always like to err on the side of caution. If I'd let him back in, maybe he would have taken the child and gone off to a foreign island somewhere. Maybe he would have, who knows? Who knows? I'm just telling you this story because in life, many times there's not good choices. Many times there's choices, one is worse than the other. And so we didn't let him in, and he was crying and clawing on the window. And that was one of the most difficult moments of my life, defending my child against someone who was meticulously careful of protecting her also. So anyway, he went back to his island, and we finally went through the U.S. Embassy and got the kids on a plane and got them back home here. I wanted to tell you from watching my girl go across the pond this morning, stepping on the rocks, and my oldest one coming home, and her going to school, her hair's beautiful, and she's in 8th grade now, and suddenly the boys, anyway, just to see them both speaking perfect English. They're both A students. They play the piano, they dance, they're in track, they shoot basketball, they swim like fish. Neither could swim when they came, and I taught them both to swim. When I was in Manila, I had to teach the girls to stay away from the bad men, because they came from a small island, well, not small, but crude and primitive, down in Butuan on Mindanao, and I was running across the street to get a little food, and my whatever she was, 10-year-old, wouldn't come. She wanted to stand on the curb. I said, okay. And finally, the next day, she came to me. She says, "Dad," she says, "could you teach me to cross the street I don't know how. I said, of course, come on outside, man, I'll show you. And so I ran her back and forth across the street a couple of times, and finally she got some confidence and was able to cross the street. Neither of the girls had been around flush toilets. Never. And so they were just a little bit nervous of the shower that had clear, real warm water coming through it, and the toilet. And so in the hotel, I had to stand outside the bathroom with the door open. I had to stand to the side so they had some privacy, but they wouldn't go in the bathroom without me guarding the door. And my little one today, 2 or 3 years later, I have to keep shutting the door to her on the bathroom because she's scared to death to shut the bathroom door. So that's the kinds of primitiveness those kids came to this country, and now they're just exceptional human beings. Now, they'd never ridden in cars before, and when we were in Manila, we rode in taxi cabs, and they had the meters on the car, and Abigail said to me, "Dad, what's that?" And I said, "Hey, that tells how much money we have to pay this man to move us around." "Oh, okay." So when we flew into Salt Lake Airport, and Mercy, my wife, picked us up in her new car, the first thing Abigail did was get in the front seat, and she says, Mom, where's the meter?" We were both just laughing our faces off. And we said, "Honey, in this country, a cab has a meter, but everyone else has a car." Oh, okay. So I've had some really precious, cute moments and some very sad moments. And I certainly want, if I die, I want a video. He'll die, and well, he's my age, the grandfather, so we may die together, who knows. But I want to leave a video for him to know how much I appreciate. I could have never got those kids if it wasn't for him. They had to stay there for a year in the Philippines after the adoption, which is Philippine law. And I had them in private school because they had an American father, and they kidnap and rape those children and ask for ransom. And he did that every day, and he cooked for them, and him and his wife were just wonderful human beings. So I want to go on record saying that, and saying I didn't exclude him in Manila because I wanted to. When it comes to me and protecting my children, I'm not like Heber C. Kimball. I would not give my 14-year-old girl to the pedophile Joseph Smith to marry. And if Joseph Smith wanted to marry my wife, which he wanted to marry Mrs. Kimball, Heber C. should have had enough balls to go, "You know what? Screw you. Get out of here. You're not marrying my wife, and you're not marrying my 14-year-old. Well, Heber C. and I have a little bit of different personality. And like I said in my atheist video, my standards are a little higher than all religions, and I would not give a daughter up for Heber C. Kimball and Joseph Smith. So anyway, let this be a video record that I love the guy. Grandpa is the greatest guy in the world. We see him all the time now on the video, and we talk highly of him, etc. But I just felt for the safety of my child at that time in a foreign country, I had superior knowledge to the medical staff and to the hospital, and thank God I was right.